Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is a double dose of Ethan Hunt chaos, floppy disks, doves, and Tom Cruise sprinting. Join us as we dive into Mission Impossible 1 and Mission Impossible 2. Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Danielle, and we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies of the late 90s and early 2000s. And this week, we're going rogue and doing a double feature with our fellow movie lovers from Mike and Mike Go to the Movies, covering not one, but two of Tom Cruise's iconic franchise entries, Mission Impossible and Mission Impossible 2.
Woo!
But before we dive in, let's get into some housekeeping. If you love the podcast and you want to support us, here's a few ways that you can.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We've got plenty more deep dives into your favorite Y2K movies coming up.
Head to Apple, leave us a review. We'll read it on the podcast, and it helps us grow. That's it. That's the message.
We do have a review, Long Live Blockbuster from Nate Day 5. Huge shout out to Jackie and Danielle, who lead truly insightful and engaging conversations about films that, even if you don't remember in full, you'll feel so endeared to after an episode. Love the rental theming framing too. It really takes me back and is so creative.
Oh, thank you. Love that. Love that for us.
And if you want to show off your love for nostalgia, check out our No More Late Fees merch at nomorelateFees.redbubble.com. From movie-inspired designs to podcast swag, we've got something for every movie lover.
And it's fitting that we're doing double duty with one of our favorite duos. Welcome back, Mike S. and Mike D., the dynamic host behind Mike and Mike Go to the Movies and The Complete Works. Welcome, guys.
Ooh.
Hey.
Hello.
Thank you for having us. We're so excited to be back. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
For our listeners who are new to your pod, why don't you give them a short little tidbit about what you guys talk about, what you do, what you're doing over there.
Sure. Yeah. I feel like I just did this on the preview episode, but I'll do it again. Yes, our podcast is called The Complete Works. We also have bonus episodes called Mike and Mike Go to the Movies. They used to be two separate podcasts. We recently merged the feeds, so The Complete Works is now the main one, and Mike and Mike comes out as bonus episodes. But The Complete Works, essentially the idea is that every season we pick an actor and we talk about every movie that they've ever starred in. Past seasons include Nicolas Cage, Jeff Goldblum, and Michelle Yeoh. And currently we are doing the films of Roy Scheider, who has an incredible run of movies in the 70s, and then it really starts to trickle out after that. So we are currently in the mid-2000s direct-to-video era of Roy Scheider. So that is what the main podcast is. And then the Mike and Mike Go to the Movies episodes are kind of just general film stuff. We do episodes of Mike Makes Mike Watch, where Mike and I each make each other watch movies that we've never seen before.
Well, if you want to get to know Mike and Mike a little bit better, make sure to check out our past episodes of Spider-Man 1 and 2 and Daredevil, as well as this week's bonus episode. But
Yeah, this is the first time you've had us on for a non-Marvel thing, too. I just realized
know.
that.
True, yeah.
well,
We're branching out.
you guys got to look at the list, so you really picked this one for yourself this time.
That's true. We saw the list of movies that were available, and immediately I saw Mission Impossible. I was like, well, that's a me and Mike thing right there. And you're doing both of them in one? Hell yeah, we got to do that.
Well, let's dive into what Mission Impossible 1 is. Came out in 96, and Ethan Hunt, a young IMF agent, is framed for a failed mission that ends in the deaths of his entire team. With the CIA hunting him down and betrayal all around every corner, Ethan must uncover the real mole, recover a coveted NOC or knock list, and clear his name. Armed with the tech gadgets, disguises, and a lot of dangling from ceilings. The movie stars Tom Cruise, John Voight, Emmanuel Bear, hopefully I said that right, Ving Rhames, and Jean Reno. The movie was written by David Cope and Robert Towne, I think, and it was directed by Brian De Palma. And you can currently watch it on Netflix. You can actually watch all of the Mission Impossible movies right now on Netflix.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you can do a whole movie marathon.
Nice.
You know what I do twice a year? Watch all the Mission Impossible. So that makes it very easy.
Yes, Mike D rewatches the whole series a lot. We both did a big rewatch before the latest one came out, Final Reckoning. So the entire series is very fresh in both of our minds right now.
All right, Jackie, give us MI2, baby.
Mission Impossible 2 from 2000. Ethan is tasked with recovering a deadly virus called Chimera from a rogue IMF agent, Sean Ambrose. To do it, he must recruit master thief Naya Hall, Ambrose's ex, and infiltrate his operation before the virus is unleashed. Cue slow-mo action, doves, and some very John Woo level drama. It stars Tom Cruise, Thandiwe Newton. I said that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Dougray Scott and Ving Rhames. It was written by Robert Towne with the story by Ronald D. Moore and Brannon Braga. And it was directed by John Woo. And like Danielle said, you can currently watch it on Netflix. But before we start, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So, you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we will reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again,
The best would play on repeat.
5-day rental,
Would watch again.
2-day rental,
Okay, but nothing to write home about.
and same-day rental.
Trash. Straight up. Blow it up. Trash.
All right, Mike D, we're going to start with you. What is
Okay.
your Y2K rating of Mission Impossible?
Mission Impossible's probably would buy it. Would play on repeat all the time. This is a foundational Mike D text in the lore. So this is it's weird. They both are. So we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, Mission Impossible 1 for sure would own. Gotta buy it. Gotta have it.
My guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would also, Y2K rating like myself from back then. I would also be a would buy it or buy it again. I mean, I currently have all of them on Blu-ray, so I have actively bought them. But back then, I saw Mission Impossible 3 first. I remember that very specifically because that was the one that came out when I was like 13 and like watched that and then went back and watched the first two. And so, yeah, but I remember liking the first one a lot back then. So I think it's safe to say that I would, yeah, still say I would buy it again.
Jackie?
I have never seen her before.
Never surprised. What did you say we should make a rating? What did I say yesterday?
Oh God, what did you say? No, I can't remember. I should have written it down. It'll
I
probably come to
know.
us like halfway through the episode.
Well, mine is same day rating. I remember seeing this movie and hating it. And this is when we had like an influx of 60s TV shows turned into movies. So we had like the Mod Squad, we had
Yep.
this, Charlie's Angels, whatever.
Addams Family, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like,
Were you one of the fans of the original show who was mad that Jim Phelps was the bad guy now? Is that
That's
no,
definitely what
I
it was.
never
That was the problem?
I never saw the first show in my life. My mom loved it, loved the
Yeah.
show. So one of the things that I learned in this experience is I don't like espionage movies.
Huh.
I couldn't
Okay.
put my finger on why I have a hard time with this and James Bond and all the I don't care for it.
That's
Seems
it.
like a lot of white people doing a lot of shit that I don't care for.
We got
That is
Ving
interesting.
Rhames as the hacker man.
You do got Ving Rhames, who rules in
Ving
these
Rhames
movies.
was getting that check, okay? He's paying his mortgage with these fucking movies. He is phoning it in.
Nah, he
That
rules in
man,
these.
He's so
he-
good.
He's
he
so
don't
much
do
fun.
nothing.
He's
He
the heart
has
of these movies. He is the heart of the Mission Impossible series.
one-liners and getting that check, and I ain't mad
He's
at
killing it. He's killing it.
Cool
It's-
hats.
it is very funny when you watch the later ones because at a certain point it becomes a thing where like Ving Rhames will be in the movies. He's happy to be in them, but he does not want to be in an action scene and he does not want to be running around. Like he's sitting down the entire time.
Yeah.
Hey, sit on this train with
Yes.
this phone jammer.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to start with you, Mike D. What is your rating for Mission Impossible 2?
So so literally, so the foundational text aspect of Mission Impossible 2 for me is this is the first DVD I ever rented from Blockbuster.
Oh wow, that
We
is
had just
momentous.
we had just gotten a DVD player, and there's a Blockbuster that used to be around the block for me, and they would rent me whatever I wanted. And I went over there, and in 2000 I was 9, and, and it was renting Mission Impossible 2, and it was one of those things where, oh my God, there's special features, there's deleted scenes. I could slow mo, I could skip chapter. Like, I just discovered a DVD and I
Yeah.
watched this constant, like for hours, just watching everything I could about it and then renting it again and again and again because it was like the hot new movie. So I guess that's 5-day rental. Own it? I don't. We didn't own it, but I just rented it constantly. So
5-day rental.
yeah.
All right, my guess.
For my mindset of when Mission Impossible 2 came out and when I first saw it, I would probably say I would have put it down as a 2-day rental. A movie that I enjoyed, thought was fun. I thought it was a huge step down from the first one and a little disappointing because I'm a huge John Woo fan and, a huge fan of his films from Hong Kong, Hard Boiled, The Killer, Face Off, Rules. And then Mission Impossible 2, I remember liking, but not nearly as much as the first one. That rating may have changed in the years since, but the
Y2K version was like 2 days.
Y2K, I was like, yeah, it's solid. I do still think it is the weakest of the Mission Impossible films.
Jackie?
Shocking to no one, I have never seen this movie.
If you hadn't seen the first one, then yeah, that makes
Well,
sense.
I have. I told Ken last night, I was like, the first movie I ever saw with his family in the theater was Mission Impossible 3. And that, up
Okay.
until this point, was the only Mission Impossible I have ever watched.
Okay.
And that was because I was too new into the relationship to be like, I hate Tom Cruise. Please don't make me watch a movie with
I
him.
can't say no. What if he
Yeah.
doesn't date me anymore? Like,
Right.
I was with his mom and his sister. I couldn't be the difficult one. So
I would have been like, I ain't seen this shit. I'll be in the next theater.
Danielle, how about you?
Would buy it.
Yeah.
I
Rules.
feel like
That's
you're
great.
biased.
I own this shit. Shit
Yeah?
is on the shelf. For
Hell
real.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I did not like the first one,
Okay.
but Thandiwe Newton was my girl, okay?
She's
And
awesome in this movie. She's great.
young me, you couldn't tell me these two didn't have crazy chemistry. I was
Yeah.
like, this is a rom-com, okay?
Yeah.
delightful.
I ate this shit up. I watched it a lot. I don't know. But now as we go through this movie, I won't remember shit. Like, it's been a good decade since I've brushed off that DVD player. But yeah, would buy it. I know it was shocking for me too when I remembered. All right.
Well,
Let's get into the box office.
Mhm.
We'll start with MI1. It had a box office of $80 million and made $457.7 million. That's crazy money.
Yeah. I think it's the second highest grossing film of that year. Number one was Independence Day, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And then Mission Impossible is like the next biggest movie of 96.
So Paramount Pictures owned the rights to make the film because they own the rights of the TV show, and they were apparently they were trying to make the movie for a long time, and it didn't actually take until Cruise started his production company, Cruise Wagner, in 92, and then decided on Mission Impossible as his first project. So I think that's also why he can't give it up, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the more they make them, the more it's just like so intertwined with Tom Cruise to the point where like when Final Reckoning came out and it's kind of, it does leave it open. Like I mentioned before, like maybe they can make another one, whatever. And maybe if they do, maybe it would be without Ethan Hunt and it could be about a new team or something. And everyone's like, I don't know if they're going to make another one without Tom Cruise. I don't know if they can. Like it's so
Yeah.
intertwined with who he is as a movie star. It'd be very, very difficult to make one without him.
Yeah. So development initially began. Sidney Pollack was going to be the director, and
His co-star from Eyes Wide Shut.
yeah,
Turn that up.
and the final screenplay was completed after De Palma, Steven Zalian, David Cope, and Robert Towne were hired. De Palma also designed most of the action sequences while Cruise did most of his own stunts, as we know.
Yeah.
And then they started filming in 95, and Lil Raj said, "This is a movie that exists in the instant, and we must exist in the instant to enjoy it." He gave it 3 out of 4 stars.
One of our chief philosophers, Roger Ebert.
Hashtag deep.
Yeah.
We be wanting to fight this man on a daily. On a daily. What do you have to say, Jackie?
Baps got 0 stars,
Yeah.
and this that I couldn't even follow got 3 stars.
Yeah.
Also, didn't he say something? What movie was it recently? Oh, I am hot now because recently there was a movie. Oh, I think it was Charlie's Angels, where it was like the same shit where it's like, it wasn't believable. It wasn't this, blah, 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 and gave it like a 1-star review.
I'm surprised. I am surprised to hear that Roger Ebert gave Charlie's Angels a bad review because he loved hot women. That was his whole thing.
That was his shtick, yeah.
That was a big thing for Roger Ebert.
I am confirming before I like spout more.
Yeah, no,
anger
I think you
towards
were
this
right.
man.
Like he gave it a low thing and said crazy shit.
Yeah, he called it a movie without a brain. It's like the trailer for a video game movie lacking only the video game and the movie, and gave it half a star.
Whoa.
Man, I don't
But
know if he had lived longer, maybe he would have changed his mind. He did
I
that every
doubt
once
it.
in a while. Where I think it was like Blue Velvet. He like years later, he was like, you know what? That was actually like he gave it a bad review when it came out, and then years later added it to his like great movies list.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of movies like that. So if he had lived another 10 years, maybe he would have added Charlie's Angels.
He would have come around on McG, I think.
Yes, I think so. One of our great auteurs, Mick G. Yes.
Okay, let's dive into MI2's box office.
Okay.
So the budget for this movie was around 120 to 125 million dollars, and it made $546.4 million. So the good thing is it made more than the first, because I know, and we'll talk about it, a lot of the issues in production, like Tom was stressed. Okay? He was stressed. That little man was stressed during this second movie. So on opening day, it made 12.5 million, making it the 4th highest grossing Wednesday opening behind Men in Black, Independence Day, and Star Wars Episode 1. And Lil Raj of the Chicago Sun-Times awarded the film 3 out of 4 stars, stating, "If the first movie was entertaining as sound, fury, and movement, this one is more evolved, more confident, more sure-footed in the way it marries minimal character development to seamless action."
That is the most backhanded 3 stars I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I know what this
Classic
is.
Roger.
He was a fan of the TV show and was just excited it was made into movies. That's all it could possibly be.
That could be. Although a lot of fans of the TV show were mad about the first movie when it came out.
Yeah.
Because Jim Phelps is the main character of the show, I think. Jon Voight's character. And in Mission Impossible 1, he's revealed to be the bad guy of the movie. He
was just playing himself.
Or
Yeah.
True.
or Roger was probably paid a lot of money by someone for good Mission Impossible reviews.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
That's definitely what it was.
Well, before we get into the cast and crew, let's hear a message from our pod pals.
Hi, I'm Mike Smith,
And I'm Mike Decretio.
and we host a podcast called The Complete Works, a deep dive into the careers and filmographies of some of our favorite actors.
Every season, we pick an actor and go through every single movie they've ever made, episode by episode.
We discuss the choices that actor makes, the kinds of roles they portray over time, and the ever-evolving trends of the film industry across multiple eras.
Sometimes we get sidetracked and go off on tangents.
Hey, sometimes the movies are incredible, and sometimes they're not. We gotta find other things to talk about.
Past seasons of the podcast have included Nicolas Cage, Jeff Goldblum, and Michelle Yeoh.
We're currently working through the films of Roy Scheider, and we're gearing up for whatever Season 5 has in store,
We also release regular bonus episodes called Mike and Mike Go to the Movies.
where we cover some new releases, plus have recurring segments like discussions, Mike Makes Mike Watch, Let's Rank, and more.
Plus, if you make a donation on our Ko-fi page, you get to pick something that we'll talk about on Mike and Mike Go to the Movies.
That's right. Follow us at Complete Works Pod on Blue Sky and look up The Complete Works on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you on the other side.
All right, cast and crew. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Now, Mission Impossible 1 had a lot of people. Had a lot of people I knew. I was like, I
Yeah.
recognize her. I
Yep.
recognize him. I don't know his name. I don't know her name, but I recognize you. That happened a lot during the first
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah,
That-
and
that
then they
was-
all die 30 minutes in. It's
Yes. I remember like saying, "Oh, damn, Bing's not in it." Like as I turned it on because I haven't seen it in so long, I was like, "Oh, that's right, everybody did. Everybody did."
Which was suggested by George Lucas to have what he referred to as a spaghetti scene at the beginning to set the tone for the movie.
Oh.
Also now he's got storyline and plot ideas, huh?
He didn't
Well,
bring him to any of the
Yeah.
first 3 episodes.
I
so-
need him to have a seat.
I hadn't heard that before, but that kind of makes like George Lucas and Brian De Palma go way back. They're both part of that like 70s like kind of director frat pack thing with him and Spielberg and Scorsese and all those guys. So yeah, it kind of makes sense that like De Palma and George Lucas talked about this, and yeah, that's wild.
I was telling Jackie last night because I called her halfway through watching this movie, and I was like, "Jackie, you know Emilio Estevez is in this movie?"
Yeah.
When I
on.
saw, I was like, "Emilio, is that you?"
Emilio. And he gets the most gruesome death in the movie.
I
too.
was like,
Yeah.
how they
gnarly.
did that to Coach Bombay, I don't even know.
I
Yeah.
had questions about that death.
Like he didn't even try to like
nope.
fall to the. He just who just keeps staring at. Like it was wild.
I mean, the elevator was moving very fast. He didn't have a lot of time to to move.
He didn't move at all, Mike. Come
All right, what do we got for cast and crew, Jack?
So the producers cast Ving Rhames as Luther because they felt he was the opposite of what a hacker normally looks like.
And I was like, is that because he's a bigger man? Is it because he's black? I didn't like that, none of that, but I was like, okay. I think
Yeah.
I know they're insinuating that normally these hackers are like nerdy white guys.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
scrawny guys. And also just the addition of Ving Rhames, A+ across the board. He's, again, I know you weren't as big on him in this movie, Danielle, but
Oh,
I think
no,
he's.
don't get me wrong.
Oh, right, you were saying he's just cashing the paycheck, is what you're saying.
And I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, no, but I think he's like, he is like, you know, Mike D can vouch for me here. He's like the heart of these movies in a
Yeah.
weird way. He's the only one other than Tom Cruise that is in all 8 of them.
And I think that speaks to their actual in life relationship because we can
Mhm.
see how many other people do not make it back to these movies. And I know a
Yeah.
lot of it has to do with their relationship with Tom Cruise.
Mm.
And it's almost like sometimes even after people have beef with him, they don't talk about it as much. Like they still try to say nice things because that man has so much power in Hollywood,
Sure.
even now.
He's the president of
So-
movies.
He is.
Yeah. He sends everyone a cake. It's like a thing. But yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely part of it. But also the first like 3 Mission Impossible movies are so like disjointed from each other. They are not like following the same story or anything like that. They're all just like individual adventures, each with like individual filmmakers bringing in like a new cast like every single time. So and like Tom Cruise and Ving Rhames are the only constants there. Once you get to like Mission Impossible 4, Ghost Protocol, that's the one where like a recurring cast starts to develop in the movies. So like Simon Pegg has like a cameo in Mission Impossible 3, and then he's like a main character going forward. Rebecca Ferguson jumps in Mission Impossible 5. Jeremy Renner pops in for a few movies. Alec Baldwin's in there for a few movies. And it does feel like, you know, they start to create a larger narrative about like Ethan Hunt, you know, kind of as the IMF is like a found family sort of thing. Much like the Fast and Furious, it's all about family.
It is.
And I do think that all kind of stems from this first movie where Ethan Hunt essentially loses his found family in the first half hour.
Right.
And so it's like so important to him that like to maintain his family for like the rest of the movies. It all kind of like stems from this one, which is an interesting like narrative through line that kind of comes through later. But when you've watched all the movies, like you see it in this one.
Yeah, I feel like maybe the approach to keep it so like one-off adventures in the first few was because they were trying to differentiate it from like James Bond a
Sure.
little
Yeah,
bit. Like, because
absolutely.
that's my only thought process of why. But I think once they found the footing, and then I think a lot of that had to do with J.J. Abrams coming in the third movie.
Oh yeah, I mean the first four movies like all have different filmmakers and all are like fairly well-known filmmakers who all have very distinct styles. And so the first one really feels like a Brian De Palma movie, and the second one really feels like a John Woo movie, and the third one feels like a J.J. Abrams movie, which it's actually his first film, but it feels like an episode of Alias, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one is Brad Bird, who directed The Incredibles and a lot of animated movies, and he kind of brings that style to it. And so those first four movies have that like differentiating style between each one. And then Christopher McQuarrie, who directed Tom Cruise in Jack Reacher, comes in and takes over starting with five. And then he just directs the rest of them from there on out. And it becomes a much more like consistent franchise. Still great. But I do like this like first half of the series where it's like, every time it's different. Who knows what it's going to be this time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I bringing it back to their thought process of Ving Rhames being the hacker, because it's like not what a normal hacker looks like. Like literally the year before in the movie Hackers, we had Lawrence Mason playing a hacker. So like, and not just his character, but like all the characters were very different
Yeah.
looking in that movie, so that they weren't pigeonholed into being like the nerdy hacker. So I see what they were going for, but I think Hackers beat them to the punch and did it better.
Better, yeah. And if you've seen any real hackers, like they all look different.
Yeah.
But I also could see like you see Ving Rhames and you in an action movie, you could see him be beating shit out of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love a man with a steady check and a desk job,
Sure.
Well,
keeping himself safe.
and
I
he
don't know. My,
probably
my
went.
image of a hacker before this movie is the girl from Jurassic Park, is basically.
It's a Unix system.
Exactly.
Well, and Ving Rhames went from this probably straight to Lilo and Stitch to voice Cobra Bubbles, which I also
Great in that movie
love.
too.
Wow.
And like I mentioned, Emilio Estevez is in this, but it's a cameo. He's not even credited in this role.
Yeah.
Really? I don't think I ever
He,
realized that.
yeah. But Tom Cruise had previously made a similar, like, uncredited cameo in Emilio's movie Young Guns. So I'm guessing they must have met on The Outsiders.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
that's
say,
what
aren't
I
they
was
both in
assuming.
Outsiders?
Yeah, so they must be
Right.
good friends. Love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense. But yeah, he's like a fun presence. He's definitely the one. I think it's really smart to have him in that first half hour because it's like because he's a recognizable face, because you're
Yeah.
like, oh, this is Emilio Estevez, great. Like it makes it more surprising when that character dies, and then the rest of the team also dies a little
Yeah.
bit, and the rest of the team also, like Kristen Scott Thomas is on that team as well. So there
I
is like
was
other
like, they're gonna
other
kill Kristen
recognizable,
Scott
yeah.
Thomas. Wild.
Emilio's got one of my favorite lines in the movie, though, when he's explaining the stick of gum explosive thing.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hasta lasagna, don't get any on ya," and that's the coolest shit anyone's ever said in the movie.
Dame Vanessa Redgrave's part was originally written for a man. I love that.
I don't know what she was doing. I don't know what part of the storyline she was. I don't know if she was good or bad. I honestly
She's
have
Max.
no idea.
She's Max.
But I
Yeah,
was
she's shifting alliances. Bad.
I was glad to see her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, there are rumors that Tom Cruise and Brian De Palma did not get along and that they were fueled by Brian himself excusing himself at the last moment from scheduled media interviews before this movie came out.
Damn.
Yeah. I could see it. They're both like pretty intense personalities.
Yeah.
And Brian De Palma, a very controlling filmmaker. I think Tom Cruise in this era was kind of giving himself to auteur filmmakers. He had Cameron Crowe with Jerry Maguire. He had Stanley Kubrick with Eyes Wide Shut, Paul Thomas Anderson with Magnolia. But I do think as the 90s go on, he becomes like a little more controlling of his persona, and especially into the 2000s and 2010s. So I could see Tom Cruise and Brian De Palma being at odds. I don't know anything about it necessarily, but I could see it.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Cruise like went in a new direction like and started pulling back from acting and started directing because he's crazy enough to be a director and I think he's been kind of co-directing a lot of these movies in the first place.
Oh yeah, the last 6 Mission Impossible movies are like basically Tom Cruise like ghost directing a little bit.
Yeah.
Like he and Chris McQuarrie are basically like directing partners at this
Yeah.
point.
And so I wouldn't be surprised if we see that era start happening.
Yeah, I wonder what would like can override for Tom Cruise. Which one would take over his like producerial effort? Because like he's been producing all these movies. I could see him, you know, shepherding new filmmakers or whatever, or his apparent like death wish to die filming a stunt, which is
Right.
more important to him.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's do cast and crew for MI2. So, Thandiwe Newton. Poor bless her heart. So we just did Charlie's Angels, and we got into that she was essentially going to be cast as the Lucy Liu character, Alex,
Really?
but she had gotten into some disagreements with the team behind the movie that she didn't find the way that they were representing her very well for like a black character, a black female character, just very stereotypical. And the Sony leaks let us find out that this was a real thing that happened if
Wow.
anybody was questioning. We've gotten a few comments from people saying that things aren't always about race, and all we do when we're talking on this podcast is we're talking about the accounts of some of these wonderful
Hmm.
actors who are saying yes, this was a racial issue,
Right.
and it wasn't great. So there was a lot of like I don't know, trivia saying that she didn't do Charlie's Angels or she turned it down because the production of this movie took so long. But that was because the production of Eyes Wide Shut took so long, so it held up the
Yep.
production of Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah, that makes
But we
sense.
found out later that really it had more to do with what Dandy didn't want to be a part of that production. So apparently she also had a very hard time with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard her like, I think they just kind of clashed. They didn't get along particularly well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she discussed her unpleasant onset experiences with Cruz during the shooting of the balcony sequence, and she recounted this during a 2020 interview. So according to her, Cruz was heavily stressed over the expectations of the sequel being good and was upset during the shooting of said scene because she had the shittiest lines. The two decided to reverse role play each other as practice. However, it was unhelpful for her and pushed her into a place of terror and insecurity. So, after the shooting was finished for the day, she contacted Jonathan Demme, telling him what happened. And she said, looking back on that day, looking back on that day, bless him. And I really do mean bless him because he was trying his damnedest, referring to Cruz.
Okay, so it sounds like they've, not necessarily buried the hatchet or anything, but it's,
No.
She
just
understood where he
yeah,
was kind of coming
yeah,
from.
clashing acting styles and stuff. That was one thing. So, I mean, when the Final Reckoning was coming out, there was a lot of speculation about like, well, which characters are going to come back from past installments or whatever.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be the guy who is taking a shit in this movie is like the one guy who comes back from for the
Excuse me,
Final
he's
Reckoning.
throwing up.
Yes,
Excuse me.
that's true. Yes,
He's both.
yeah,
Donald.
William Donlow.
Donlow,
He
that's
actually
it.
has a great supporting role in the Final Reckoning. He's really good. But my like biggest like long shot dreams like man, it'd be cool if they can get Thandie Newton back. That'd be really sick.
Yeah, I was always surprised that she wasn't in it, but it's also like crazy that she has Jonathan Demme on speed
Yeah.
dial.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that's wild. I'm now I'm gonna have to look back and see if they did a movie together.
I was
How
just
she
wondering
knows
that. Like, I
him.
can't think of which movie that she would have been in, but maybe she
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
I wanted to pick for my employee picks in the bonus episode. I wanted to pick Rock and Rolla, which is a Guy Ritchie movie, but it's from like
Yeah.
2008, I think.
Outside the
And
time frame.
yeah, it's outside the time frame, but Thandiwe Newton's fucking incredible in that. If you've ever seen that,
I
and
would
Gerard
love
Butler.
I would have loved it. She came back from this movie
Mhm.
and came with her daughter in real life
Yeah.
and been like, "This your baby."
Whoa.
Because her daughter's old enough now and she
Yeah.
looks exactly like her mom. It's wild.
It's
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
Genetics be wild.
Yeah. And you guys can read some of these too, if you want some of these fun facts.
Sure. Yeah, I'll throw one out there. Actually, I don't see one in here that I feel like we should talk about. If I can throw that in
Yeah,
there
whatever.
too.
Of course.
Sure. Yeah. So Doug Ray Scott is the villain of this movie. And if you don't know who Doug Ray Scott is, it's because his only major role is Mission Impossible 2.
That is a damn lie.
Well, okay, maybe there's more. But so the weird thing about this is that, the lore surrounding Mission Impossible 2 and Doug Ray Scott's role in this movie is that originally he was cast as
Lord.
Wolverine in X-Men. He was supposed to be in the first X-Men movie playing Wolverine, and then got the
that's
offer.
right.
And then got the offer to be the villain in Mission Impossible 2. And he decided to do this instead because at the time was like, well, be the bad guy in like this huge sequel to a big Tom Cruise movie. Like X-Men seemed more like a risk at the time. We didn't really have like a ton of superhero movies. Who really knows what Wolverine is, all that stuff. So he ends up being the villain of Mission Impossible 2. Hugh Jackman then gets cast as Wolverine. And 24 years later, it could have been Doug Ray Scott in Deadpool and Wolverine, but instead
I just don't
instead
think
it was Hugh Jackman.
it all works out because I don't think he would have pulled it off as Wolverine.
I think he's okay in this movie, but I think he's easily like the weakest part of it. And I do think, he like his Wolverine would not have had the same impact as the Hugh Jackman Wolverine. I don't think so. Yeah, it all kind of worked out. Did he have another role that you were thinking of, Danielle?
The girlies know about this wonderful movie called Ever After.
Okay.
Oh.
That's a Cinderella movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I have not seen that.
And
Cinderella story.
I would
yes,
say
colon, a
9 out
Cinderella
of
story.
10 people would say that movie before Mission Impossible 2.
Interesting.
But now it's funny because he's popping up because there's a Netflix like romantic dramedy that's just came out. My Oxford Year, I think, and he plays the dad in that, and so people have been bringing him up a lot. So.
Scott Assange.
Yeah, the Doug Ray Scott sons. He was also on the Batwoman TV show on the CW, the one with Ruby Rose in the lead role. And I remember
she was only for one season though, right?
Yes, and then she left, or they left maybe. But yeah, and then it ran for like 3 more seasons. The show was not very good, unfortunately. But he was like the detective. I think he might have also been her father or something. I don't know. I watched the whole first season, and I didn't like any of it.
Just to circle back to Jonathan Demme, she was in Beloved.
Oh, that's right.
Which would have been a couple years before this. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. And then after this, she was in The Truth About Charlie, which he also joined.
Okay.
Oh, that's what Mark Wahlberg, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, that movie would have done much better if they had cast someone else.
Instead of Mark Wahlberg.
I just, he's hit or miss. Sometimes, he's really good. I don't know. He has a pocket,
Yeah. I think
But
when
the big
Wahlberg's
hit
working with a
is
good
his
filmmaker, he can lock in. But outside of that, it's like he's cool in The Departed, But that's like the role that Mark Wahlberg should be playing. Outside of that, it's tougher to.
It's hard to find him endearing. I think he could do comedy, but I don't.
Yeah, no.
The Italian Job, that seems about right.
We were just talking about The Italian Job the other day.
Yeah.
Mike's never seen it.
No, I've seen
Really?
it. No, I had watched it for the first time on a plane several years ago.
That
is
was
what I
it.
had said.
Yeah.
But we were talking about it in the context of the Fast and Furious movies because technically it's canon with those movies in a weird way. Jason Statham's in both movies, and in I think the 8th Fast and Furious movie, they find a bunch of Mini Coopers in an airplane, and Jason Statham's like, "Oh, this is from one of my other adventures." Like that.
I didn't even realize. You know how you guys talked about you watch Mission Impossible the whole thing every year? Every few years, I will watch all of the Fast and the Furious movies.
I mean that's
too.
Mike D's other big rewatch franchise.
I spend 6 months watching Fast and the Furiouses, and then 6 months watching Mission Impossible, and then 6 months watching Fast and the Furious. Yeah,
we circle back. Yeah,
I sprinkle in a Saw every now and then.
Which Saw 1 eligible for no more late fees. Just throwing that out there. It'd be
we
fun.
already did it.
Done it.
Did you do Saw already? Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, we're doing Saw 2 this year. Yippee!
Nice.
The look on Danielle's face when she realized Saw 2 was also in our time frame.
Thought you just missed it. If it makes you feel better, there are 9 more Saw movies that you're missing out on.
Not in the slightest.
They're all, I'm not going to say they all rule. They're all a lot of fun. And the last one, Saw 10, kind of the best one. It's really
incredible.
Good.
The first one wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to. I was like, this is...
That's the thing. Yeah.
It's more gore and psychological than anything. The second one, it amps up the...
Absolutely, yeah. And then Saw 6 is really just about the healthcare system and in
Yeah.
America. It's about like torturing a healthcare CEO. It's really
Oh,
good.
Oh,
not
so
mad at
Luigi was
that.
in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Uncritical
Allegedly,
support to
allegedly,
Saw 6,
allegedly.
allegedly. Yeah.
Took inspiration from Saw 6. Yeah.
Well, Tom Cruise and John Woo all let me rephrase this. Well, Tom Cruise also clashed with John Woo.
Mm.
Seems like Tom had an idea and his directors had a different vision. So, some of the stunts, because Woo wanted stunt doubles and Cruise was, as we all know now, adamant about doing his own stunts.
Yeah.
He didn't like cheating and that it's too easy to spot the actor is being doubled because of body movement, timing, etc. Which I mean, not wrong. It didn't help that Wu is afraid of heights but Wu did admire Cruise's courage.
Yeah. I mean, John Woo came up in the Hong Kong action scene of the 80s, which is one of the most insane periods of action filmmaking ever. We talked about it a lot on the Michelle Yeoh season of the podcast. And, if you watch any of those 80s Hong Kong movies, and especially the John Woo stuff, it's chaos. It's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Although the John Woo stuff, I think, is typically like a little bit more controlled than you would get in like a Jackie Chan action movie. And John Woo's is much more like choreographed and balletic, and there's so much style to it.
Yeah.
And then at this point he would have been in America making movies for a couple of years, so, and I'm sure the stunt process is very, very different, and he probably kind of was like, hey, they care about people's safety here. This is
Right. And you are the lead of this movie. If anything
Yeah.
happens to you, like, I don't even think we got
Like,
enough
it's on
insurance
me.
for this
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
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 But so there's a couple things about this. One, does anyone remember, I've talked about this with Mike, the 2000s MTV Movie Awards sketch where it's Ben Stiller as
Yes.
Tom Cruise's stunt double? And for some reason, that's really imprinted on me.
Same.
I've just rewatched it before we were recording this. Still very funny. I can't believe John Woo is part of it, which I didn't really remember, but he's in there
nice.
making fun of the whole thing. If anyone's never seen it, it's Ben Stiller doing Tom Cruise, an impression of Tom Cruise as his stuntman next to Tom Cruise the whole time. And John Woo's like, yeah, Tom doesn't really do any of his stunts, so like we don't really need this other guy, but like we have fun. And then it's just a fight scene, and he's like, hit him harder, and it's just the stuntman beating the shit out of Ben Stiller. So that's very funny. And then yeah, it's funny that John Woo or actually I guess it was Tom Cruise was talking about that, like you can tell like when there's a stuntman or stunt person. And there's an insane cut in, I think it's Righting Wrongs, which is not a John Woo movie, but it's one of these Hong Kong action movies, stars Cynthia Rothrock. And she's a white blonde lady, right? And it's a fight scene where all of a sudden it cuts to Yoon Bao, who's the other star of the movie, stunt doubling for her. It's like, for a second, but it's one of those things where like once somebody points it out to you, it is impossible to not notice that they're just swapping guys out in these Hong Kong movies, which is very funny.
Yeah.
That happens to me a lot now, watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer over again.
Buffy has a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, that lady big.
Like, wait a second.
If you're wondering how Thandie got her role in this movie, apparently Tom's then wife Nicole Kidman suggested her because they co-starred in a movie called Flirting from '91, and she was cast before the script was even written.
Mm.
Cool. And this is like right around the time, because I'm pretty sure they get divorced like around this time. Like,
Yeah.
I think right
As
after
soon as
Eyes
they-
Wide
Eyes
Shut.
Wide Shut.
As soon as
think
Eyes Wide Shut, like, it
shut.
breaks them. It like
Yeah.
destroys them.
Yeah.
So that's cool. It's like one last like addition to the canon here that she got Thandie Newton in this movie.
And can you imagine the fact John Woo must have been going through it. I'm sure he was pissed. He got locked out of the editing room by Tom Cruise, who took ownership of the final cut.
Wow.
Wild.
Well, what's the story? I don't remember what movie it is, but it's like Sam Raimi like saves John Woo as a director. Do you remember that story,
Oh
Mike?
yeah, I think that's on Hard Target,
That's
which
it, yeah.
that's in '93, and that was John Woo's like first American film. And so John Woo is a little bit overwhelmed by everything. I don't think he like spoke that much English. I don't think he still speaks that much English, honestly. But he like didn't speak that much English. He was on like an American set. It was all new and everything like that. And Sam Raimi got the chance to like the studio like hired Sam Raimi to like oversee John Woo or whatever at that point. Because at that point, Sam Raimi had made like Darkman and the first three Evil Deads and all that stuff. And so Sam Raimi was like overseeing John Woo, but like was hired to do that, but essentially was just like, just let him do his thing. Just let him
Yeah.
work. You know?
Just like ran interference the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
and basically instead of like, taking over control of the movie was instead like, keeping producers out so that John Woo can just make his movie thing,
Damn.
which was a pretty cool thing. Yeah.
Less related to the Mission Impossible 2 thing that I thought, but
Story. But
It
still
was-
a neat story.
It
Yeah.
was a reference.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dive into, I guess, a short. I'm gonna have the mics explain what the fuck happened in this movie because
Love
I
it.
know Jackie and I were like, after a while, I just pulled my pillow back and I just laid there. I don't know what was going on.
What's that tweet? It's like, bro, you'll be fine. You just need a sequence of impossible events to happen in perfect order. Like, it's that for 8
Yeah.
movies, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a brief synopsis of the original Mission Impossible, and Mike D, you've seen this movie more times than I have if you want to take a stab at it. But essentially, it opens with them kind of mid-mission, and the team gets together. Jim Phelps gets, his assignment from IMF, should he choose to accept it, and he does. And it's to send the crew off on this like kind of reconnaissance mission. Turns out the mission goes bad, and it turns out the IMF is investigating a mole within the organization. And so they sent the crew there essentially in order for them to die. They sent the crew there to die, and whoever was the only survivor was surely the mole of the operation. And so the movie is then Tom Cruise on the run from his own organization, the IMF, which, by the way, is the plot of 7 out of 8 of these movies, is that Tom Cruise is working independently of the IMF, essentially, and is usually on the run from them. And so, yeah, Tom Cruise is on the run, and he's, hiding out from the IMF because he knows that he's not the mole, so surely somebody else must be. Meanwhile, Kittredge is hunting him down, played by Henry Czerny, who's amazing in this movie. And then he eventually figures out that the knock list has the names of has the names of people who might be involved with this, and he is able to recruit a crew. He finds out that Claire has survived, and then they are able to recruit a couple of other like IMF agents, Ving Rhames and John Reno. They infiltrate Langley, where the knock list is held, and then it turns out that Jim Phelps is alive, and in fact he was the mole the entire time, and Claire was working with him. She's his wife, and then things happen. They get on the train and they fight.
What's not to get?
Yeah.
And there's a helicopter in
Yes.
the tunnel.
That is my favorite. I love that the craziness of that ending where the helicopter is in the tunnel attached to the train just going insane. Partially because it's wild that they did that, and partially because I know that if they made this movie 30 years later, Tom Cruise would have insisted on driving a real helicopter through the tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they would have insisted on doing that thing for real. It would have been insane.
Which I
So-
read, random fact, in 2006, in like somewhere in South America, someone actually flew a helicopter through a tunnel because they were inspired by this movie.
Holy shit.
What?
And they did it successfully. Like
I'm assuming.
they didn't get hit with a stick of gum that made the helicopter explode.
Red light, green light.
Yeah,
Everybody knows that. Everybody knows this.
I have questions.
Yes.
Okay. So was Ethan sleeping with that man's wife? Because even when he was still quote unquote alive, they look real familiar with each other.
They do look real familiar with each other.
Right?
He walks into her room and she does this hand motion.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And she's sitting in the corner of the room. Like, it was very, in a sleeping bag. It was very odd.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they have it's ultimately kind of revealed like she's been manipulating him for a while now at this point, at least especially post everybody dying, because she's in on Jim Phelps's plan. But yeah, I think there is like a sexual tension between the two of them, at least before that.
Yeah, because that was confusing. Also, Franz, was he bad or good?
Which
Is
one
that-
is Franz?
Is that Jean Reno?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Oh, he's bad
He
ultimately.
double crosses them. Yeah.
Yeah, he double
Damn.
crosses. Yeah, so he's working with them. He gets recruited by Ethan, but then he starts working with Jim Phelps.
That's a shame.
Okay,
like
so
It is a shame. Yeah, he's a lot. He gets to hold the rope in the Langley scene and gets attacked by a rat. It's
Yeah.
I was very upset he killed that rat.
it's either him or the rat.
Yeah. It's a great split diopter shot of a rat.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
But also, because at some point Ethan kind of starts connecting the dots.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he there's these flashes to like how Jim pulled this whole thing off and if he had accomplices. And one of the accomplices he envisioned is Jean, is it not? Because of the knife.
Oh,
Yes.
Franz. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, because that's the knife that it's the same knife that kills
Kristen Scott Thomas.
Sarah.
Kristen. Yeah.
Right.
Who that was a very unnecessary death because the man was you have an iron gate between you and you just have to keep out of arm's length.
Did he cut that other man's hand off? Did I see that wrong?
I don't know if they show that.
I'm not sure if they show that. But I mean, all those deaths are necessary just because it's the entire team has to die in order for them to think it's Ethan Hunt, essentially.
Well, what's it? Oh. Agent Eugene, aka Henry. Henry, what's his last name?
Henry Czerny, who they bring back
Czerny.
in 7 and 8 also. And he's awesome. He's so good in this movie.
He plays such a good asshole. I swear to
Yeah.
God. Every movie and TV show he's in, I just know he ain't coming up being a good dude.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
He's
He's
like
also
a
the
human
dad in Ready
spoiler.
or Not. Yeah, exactly.
He's also in the TV show Revenge, which I love.
Okay, nice.
Asshole in that too.
Yeah, but when he first shows up and it's that diner scene between him and Tom Cruise, like, and it's just the
Not
tension.
only is it a
ratchets
diner, Mike, it's a full aquarium restaurant.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Absolutely. And just the tension is like ratcheting up so intensely. Like the dialogue is so sharply written, and like De Palma's doing these canted angles that are getting more and more like canted, and just I don't know, it gets so intense. The "You've never seen me very upset, Kittredge" is like a line reading that I think about all the time. And then ultimately, yeah, he throws the exploding gum and he
Hell
blows
yeah.
up the fish tank and gets to escape. Rules. It's so much fun.
The way the Mission Impossible theme like kicks in when the aquarium blows up, it's just like we're in the fucking movies, baby.
Yes.
We're doing it. Like,
Yeah,
I
that
was like
is
all those poor fishies on the
Yeah.
on the ground.
yeah.
Ken's comment to all of that. Well, first, when the first aquarium explodes, he goes, "Oh, there was a lobster," because a lobster comes flying out.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "None of the fish were flopping. It's okay. Like
Yeah.
they didn't use real fish."
Sure.
Or a live fish.
Or they all died instantly. It's
Yeah.
because they kind of exploded on the way.
Only a little bit.
Do you think they knew that this scene of Tom Cruise, the one behind you, Mike,
Yeah.
coming down that from that room was going to be so iconic? Literally, we're watching Charlie's Angels, and there's a similar scene where Cameron Diaz is in a white suit hopping
Yep.
around trying to we can't think of no new ideas.
They do it again in the Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah, they do it a couple times in other Mission Impossibles. But yeah,
Wow.
no, it has become like one of the most like synonymous with the 90s kind of movie images, because yeah, it was like ultimately like referenced and parodied in so many things. I think Shrek also does a similar thing as this, and yeah, like you mentioned, Charlie's Angels. But even just the idea of like, you know, infiltrating a secure vault and there's a laser grid and all that stuff, I feel like a lot of that stems from this movie, and then it just like, you know, becomes
Yeah.
a thing later on. But yeah, no, that whole Langley sequence is so cool. It's such an intense set piece, and I think it sets it apart from the rest of the movies in the series, I think, a little bit, because this first one is very espionage heavy. This is like the one that's like
Yes.
actually a spy movie. And I know, Danielle, you mentioned that that's not your thing.
Not mine.
But I would be curious if you would like the later movies in the series, because they
So-
become less espionage-y and much more like big action stunt showcases. Like there's still some spycraft in there here and there, but they become like bigger action spectacles. And this one being like this is much more small scale in comparison.
To your surprise, I have seen about 3 more of these movies.
Okay.
Oh, baby.
So I did, when JJ said he was making a movie, I follow JJ wherever he goes.
Big Alias fan.
You-
Yeah.
You're going to Star Trek, I'm there. You at
Yeah.
Star Wars, also there. You do a Mission Impossible, I'll be there, baby. I'm always where he is. So
Okay.
when he did these movies, and then you know why? It's not necessarily just because of JJ, but usually when JJ does something, he brings Carrie Russell with him, and I'm always down for my girl.
And he did indeed do that in
yeah.
Mission Impossible 3. Has one of the most memorable deaths in the series, honestly.
Yeah.
Her death in Mission Impossible 3 is intense. The way her eye like twitches the other way.
Blech.
Gross.
So sad.
Well, talking about that, the hovering scene. So apparently Tom Cruise was a little off balance, and so his head kept hitting the floor because he couldn't balance. And so he got the idea to put coins in his shoes. I have a theory that
About his lifts?
yes, he just put on his lifted shoes, gave him the counterbalance he needed,
Sure.
and then just made up a story about coins in his shoes.
Yeah, famously
This
short
is-
guy, Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Yeah. I was also thinking about this, like watching this movie, seeing which actors were hired, because I really do believe that he tries not to get like really tall people in these films. Or he does stuff like
Maybe
That's why I think
Ving
Rain's always
Rhames
sitting down.
just sits
Yeah.
down all the time.
no, there
John
is
Reno
a
is tall
scene.
too, I think. Yeah.
There's a scene in the second one where they're walking side by side, and I'm watching like to see, because you could do camera angle things
Forced
to make
perspective
it.
stuff.
Yeah.
And
Gandalf
I'm
and the
like,
Hobbits. Yeah.
They're
Mhm.
very close in height, which is why I think Ving is still in this bitch.
That might be it.
Could be it.
It's like
Yeah.
that one moment in Fast and the Furious. Which one is it, Mike? Is it 6 or 5?
I think it's. I know what you're talking about. I think it's
The
6,
Rock
where
in the
The Rock
backyard.
and Vin Diesel are like side by side, or like they're facing each other, and like
But
they
they're not in
shoot
the-
it so that they look like they're exactly the same height because they're both incredibly and like I think Vin's the shorter one, and he's it's just like one of the most insecure movie stars we have is
But
Vin
with-
Diesel.
With the forced perspective thing, it makes The Rock, because I think he's the one closer to the camera, look like he's like on 8000X. Like he's so huge.
Yeah.
And you could tell they're like, you guys are on a totally different plane. You don't look the same
Yeah.
at all. It's very funny.
Yes,
Ving
it's really
Rhames is
really weird.
6 foot and Tom Cruise is 5'7".
Girl, I want everybody to go back and watch Mission Impossible 2, because I'm telling you, the motherfuckers look side by side.
When they get off the
Same,
helicopter, I know what you're
Like
talking about.
maybe
Sure.
like it's a little bit taller, but
Like an
not.
inch or two,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not 5 inches.
Wow, that man, crazy.
Well, not only is this film the only film in the franchise where Ethan Hunt doesn't fire a gun, it is the only one to not have any shootouts or gunfights. Then enter John Woo.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
going to say that. Watching the second one this go round, which is crazy because I've watched them all the time, I really noticed like how huge of a difference of a character Ethan Hunt is between the first one and the second one. The second
Yeah.
one,
Sure.
he's roundhouse kicking, he's backflipping, he's doing all these insane gun
Throwing
fu
gum.
John Woo stuff.
Yep.
And in the first one, I don't know, he hangs on a rope, like
Yeah.
It's
I mean-
such a vast difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the second one is really the one that like, he has always been like, I'm going to do my own stunts, that kind of thing. But the second one is the kind of the first Tom Cruise movie where he actually does do like a really big, insane stunt, which is the rock climbing at the beginning,
Yeah.
where, that's him climbing those rocks and he's free soloing. I don't know if he was
It's Ben
actually
Stiller.
free soloing. Oh yeah, that's Ben Stiller, of course. But that's kind of the first time where like you get like a really like big kind of marquee stunt out of
Mhm.
Tom Cruise doing that, and that like kind of lit a fire under him. Whereas like, well, this is all I want to do now. This is like I'm insane.
it's the only way to feel alive.
Yeah. So yeah, Mission Impossible 2 does have that going for it, but it is a weird kind of anomaly in the series where it's kind of the forgotten one. Like it's a movie that I like it because I like all the Mission Impossibles. But I think when you watch all the Mission Impossible movies, there are occasionally callbacks to other movies here and there, or threads that kind of continue from movie to movie. And then the 8th one like really builds on the entire series. The 6th one also does that. And they never really call back to anything in 2. It like never,
Never, yeah.
It never
Two
comes
is
up
the
again.
Lost Files.
Yes, they never talk about when Limp Bizkit did the theme song and Ethan Hunt throws his sunglasses into the camera. They don't talk about
I
that.
thought Metallica did the theme song.
Limp Bizkit is the one that does the Mission Impossible theme in this movie, which
Damn.
is wild.
I think Metallica does the end credits song though.
Okay.
Oh, that might be
Yeah.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird like period that like the movies like I think because Final Reckoning shows a lot of clips from the other movies, and I think there might be like a quick flash of two in there, but for the most part, like they kind of ignore this one, which is a bummer because again, I do think it's the weakest one, but I do think they're all good, and there's a lot of fun stuff in here, and it is still a John Woo movie, so it's got some John Woo shit going on, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So in Mission Impossible 1, Apple had a $15 million promotion linked to the film that included a game, print ads, and a television spot featuring scenes from the TV show turned into the feature film. Dealer, a in-theater promos, and a placement of Apple personal computers in the film. This was an attempt on Apple's part to improve the image after posting a $740 million loss in its fiscal second quarter that year.
This was like back when Apple was about to go out of business. Like, yeah. This was, I think the Newton was their like big invention in the mid 90s and it didn't take off.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed in the luggage car scene where all of the reveals happen, there is just a stack of desktop Apple computers and boxes in the luggage car. And I was like, that's interesting. So it makes a whole lot of sense where they're like, here, just wherever you can fit in promos, product placement, just go ahead and shove those in there.
Jim Phelps' secret plan was actually to steal a bunch of Apple computers, much like Dominic Toretto and DVD players.
Yeah, we've moved so far from the plot of the first Fast and the Furious movie.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's one of my favorite things about going back to Mission Impossible 1 is seeing the 1996, like, far bleeding edge of technology, like spy stuff. And it's like...
Well, and that was my question. Because, like, Tom Cruise had said he loved Mission Impossible, the TV show, and really wanted to do this. And it was fun with all the gadgets. What gadgets? Like...
You didn't see his eyeglasses at the end?
Yeah, he's got the spy camera glasses, and he's got exploding gum.
And he had an Apple Watch. Y'all didn't check that Apple Watch?
Yeah.
He had the temperature thing was still wired. Like, we're supposed
to... exploding gum, Jackie.
Yeah, that exploding gum is pretty, like, that's crazy even for, like, a Roger Moore Bond movie. You know, the exploding...
That's, and I was like, okay, we're going, like, get smart here. I'm into it. I love it. And then it was just like, oh, we have, like, this giant-ass monitor I have to wear on my arm so I can be quiet, or else I'm toast. And I'm like,
she's just mad that it's not the level of gadgets of Kingsman because she
well, okay.
Things are
so much.
Yeah, Kingsman's like intentionally kind of riffing on movies like Mission Impossible and James Bond and stuff like that. It's a heightened version of them.
So much. What else do I have in my notes? So in the like first scene where we're tracking the guy that's going to steal the knock list, we couldn't come up with a better plan to track him other than to spray his head urine yellow.
It's only through the filter of the glasses that change colors for some reason.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was like, they gave him pee-pee head. What's happening here? This is... And
I mean, their big plan to distract the CIA analyst, William Domlow, is to make him violently ill. They just put something in his drink. It's like, well, he'll be occupied for a few minutes.
Also in that scene, there are multiple empty tables. That lady sits uncomfortably close to him to then squirt the, like, whatever it was in his drink.
Well, he was distracted by her beauty. That's
I'm not saying I've done this, but I hear that if you put like contact lens solution, really can hurt someone's stomach.
I've heard that also.
Saw it in the movie or something.
Yeah. Also, I feel like you're saying you're not saying you've done this, but I feel you're kind of saying you've done.
Well, also in this, I was like, oh, we don't just sit and read a newspaper anymore.
Yeah. That guy gets up out of his office, gets a coffee cup, and sits down to read the newspaper at his job.
Yes.
Yeah.
My grandma
and then gets sent to Alaska.
I know, poor.
Which is a very funny, like, that's one line in this movie. And then 8 movies later in Final Reckoning, when he comes back, turns out, yes, he's been in Alaska for 30 years.
Oh,
it's awesome.
Gosh.
It's so funny.
It's so great.
Mailed me my clothes.
So yes, Tom Cruise must really not like the second movie. Anywho, well,
Yeah.
Tom Cruise deferred his 20 million fee for a percentage of the box office takings and ended up earning a reported $70 million when the first movie came out.
Yeah,
So, and he's
smart.
been known to do that a lot, actually, when he really believes in a project. I think he just has confidence that these movies are always going to make a shit ton of money.
Yeah,
But
and he's usually right. That's the thing.
Yeah.
but this one was the real gamble because he wasn't sure this was going to
Mhm.
make it.
Yeah.
He had no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, I think Top Gun Maverick was also one of those where, like, because of all the delays, like he, like, made it part of his contract that, like, defer my fee, whatever it is, like all that stuff. And then, but like in exchange for back end points. And then Top Gun Maverick ended up making $1 billion. And I'm sure he made off really well on that
Yeah.
movie.
Well, the trick with the disappearing, reappearing disc that Ethan does to fool France is not a camera trick or any other visual effect, but a genuine sleight of hand trick.
A
Yeah.
real magic trick. I love
Ethan Hunt's
it.
close up magic.
That's one of my
Which,
favorite things is that
Yeah, it was one of my favorite scenes. I was like, oh,
yeah,
and that
cool.
was it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that the movies kind of forget that Ethan can do for a while, and then they bring it back in movie 7, and it's like, hell
Yeah.
yeah, he can still do it.
I love the way in that scene in this movie when he like hits Krieger in the head with the floppy disk and he's like, "Yeah, could you remember?" Like he's just so like pedantic about it. It's so good.
Yeah, I was like, he would have tapped me twice, and that disc would have flown out of his
Yeah.
hand.
Apparently, this was the last motion picture from a major studio to be released on home video on Betamax video cassette format.
Whoa.
No, wow.
I didn't know Betamax lasted that long.
I don't
That's
know.
wild.
me either.
Yeah.
So, fun fact about my parents, they had, when Betamax and VHS were both coming out, my dad was like putting his money on Betamax. And my mom
Aw,
was like,
damn.
no, I think this VHS is really going to win it. And she wasn't wrong.
Is he
Yeah.
a big
Yeah.
HD
Sure enough.
DVD guy?
Yeah.
Did your dad get the big Blu-ray?
No,
The laser disc.
The laser disc,
my
yeah.
brother-in-law has an extensive laser disc collection, and every
Interesting.
once in a
Nice.
while we'll happen upon some at Goodwill, so we add to his collection.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Does he have something that can play laser discs?
Yes, he has
Nice.
a Laserdisc player. Yep.
That's awesome.
Well, the film's promotion in Germany was complicated by Bavarian Minister President Edmund Stoiber. I don't think I said that right, but his ban of Scientologists from joining the state civil service in response to Tom Cruise's affiliation with Scientology. Members of the ruling CDU, CSU spoke out against the film, and its youth organization, the Jung Union, boycotted it. And apparently, our government got involved as well
Really?
and frowned upon them going after the movie and such. Yeah.
That's
so-
interesting. Yeah. I'm a little surprised. I guess I didn't know exactly when the Scientology stuff started. So I'm a little surprised it was like this early in the Cruise career, like in the mid 90s.
I think the minute he broke up with Mimi Rogers, that was it.
that was it.
I'm serious because
Yeah.
like I think he dated Cher first.
Mhm.
That's
Then
true. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, he dated
That's
Cher.
weird.
And then we can get into some other rumors, but I'm not even going to do it. And then he married Mimi Rogers and then they got divorced.
Okay.
And I think after that, when he was doing around the Days of Thunder time period,
Mhm.
Sure. Yeah.
is I think when it started because then they were really looking for his wife, looking for his co-star and wife, and it was Nicole Kidman, and that was
Right.
it. So I
Yeah.
think it had to have been around that time.
Okay. Wild.
All right, now that you guys have explained Mission Impossible, I still don't know what the fuck,
Yeah.
but it's enough. Let's dive into Mission Impossible 2, and I guess Jackie and I will have to do the heavy lifting of trying to explain it very quickly.
Good luck.
I understood
I mean,
one way more than two.
yeah. So here's the thing. So Mission Impossible 2. So full disclosure, I did a big rewatch of the whole series, like back in April, May, like when Final Reckoning was coming out. So I watched them all then, and I did rewatch Mission Impossible 1 again before this podcast.
Mhm.
With 2, I was like, I'll watch a few clips on YouTube, but I got it. It's still pretty fresh in my mind from back in the day, a few months ago. But that said, Mike D has probably seen Mission Impossible 2 more than anybody on this podcast. So, Mike D, if you want to try to explain what happens in Mission Impossible 2, because this is plot-wise probably one of the more confusing Mission Impossible.
I understood what was happening.
That's
Interesting.
crazy.
Okay. Yeah.
I got it.
Okay. I mean,
Are
that's
you
the
gonna
power of
explain
Thandiwe
it,
Newton.
Danielle?
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean, Mike, it's up to you. I mean, I could do it.
If you want to do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
All
It's
right.
your
Good.
show.
All right. Ethan Hunt, he on vacation.
Yeah, he is.
And he climbing rocks.
Mhm.
If I told you where I was, wouldn't be a holiday.
Right. He ain't got no ropes. It's just his hands.
Yeah.
It's wild. And he almost fell and died. It was crazy. But then there's a helicopter. And I thought, oh shit, they gonna blow Ethan off this mountain.
You guys got a rocket launcher.
Yeah, he shoots a
And-
missile at him.
He gets off and gets back up on top of the mountain, and it's just mail.
I should have picked Vertical Limit. That would have been a good pick
Oh, for your employee pick?
for my employee pick.
To tie into the mountain climbing thing. Also would be a fun No More Late Fees episode. Throwing it out
Oh
there.
yeah.
Yeah. So then he reads the mail and realizes he's been called in somewhere.
He doesn't
Okay.
read it. He wears the mail.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Because it's 2000.
It's VR glasses or something. He reads it, finds out he got to go somewhere. Side note, there's a plane. And on the plane, you see Ethan with this man calling him Dimitri. I said, oh, Ethan's undercover again, I see. And on the plane, they're talking about chimera this, chimera that, gods and villains and shit. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden, Ethan is looking very sinister in the eyes, like he is not for this man,
Yeah.
and kills him.
Yep.
That man dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gathers himself with some other weird creeper dude sitting in the back. And then they pull off this damn mask. There's a lot of masks in this
Hell
movie.
yeah. We
A
didn't talk about
lot
the
of
masks in
Yes.
MI1.
Mission Impossible 2 has the best mask stuff in the series, I think. It's there's so many reveals.
It's
crazy.
so many. So then they dip off the plane, and the plane, because they've fucked up the pilot and such, plane crashes. Everybody dead.
Classic.
It's bad. Now we're back to Ethan, and we realize that wasn't Ethan because that man had a mask. It's actually the guy from Ever After, Douglas Scott. Then Ethan is in this like wine cellar because I think that's what it was. And who? It's Anthony. What's his name?
Anthony Hopkins, who
It's
has
Anthony Hopkins.
Despite this being my least favorite of the series, he does have my favorite line in the entire series that me and Mike D have mentioned many times,
What
where he
is it?
says, "It's not mission difficult, Mr. Hunt. It's mission impossible.
I
Difficult to be a
don't.
walk in the park for you."
I don't know how much this man got for this cameo, but it don't make a lick of sense why he's there.
He's the new director of the IMF after Jim Phelps, died in the last movie.
Well, it was crazy because we ain't never seen that man again.
Mhm.
He comes, he starts talking to Ethan about some stuff. You could tell he's kind of testing Ethan, shows him this video, and Ethan sees like a distress video from his good old scientist friend. And again, he's calling him Dimitri, and he's like, "We gotta go get him." And Anthony, what's his name again?
Anthony Hopkins,
Why
Hannibal
do I
Lecter
want to
himself.
call him Scott? I don't know. Anthony Hopkins, he goes, well, he dead. So I don't know why I showed you that without telling you, but he dead. And I need you to work on this case to help us because we don't know what he was doing out here with these drugs and this like virus and shit. Also, we need you to get this girl and bring her in. Ethan's like, cool. And what he does is he seduces the girl because she a thief. And she's out here trying to steal some bracelet that this man had hidden in his, I don't know, bathtub?
Yeah,
Yeah.
bathtub scene.
Interesting place to hide it.
One of the most overtly sexual scenes in the whole
But,
franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I will.
I'd rather be on top. Okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that for you, girl. They like this. Okay. When I think of all the women that have been in the Mission Impossible movies with Tom Cruise, Thandie has the most chemistry with him.
Mm-hmm.
I will stand on that. I feel like they had the most chemistry.
I can get
What
behind
were-
that. Rebecca Ferguson in 5 and 6 and 7 is like the ideal of like the Mission Impossible leading lady. She's incredible. She's so cool in these movies. But I think, yeah, in terms of like actual sexual tension, chemistry between the two of them, yeah, Thandiwe Newton all the way. She's great.
Which I think is hard to do with Tom Cruise. I'll be honest. Like,
Sure.
I'm not
Yeah.
being
He's a weird
mean.
man.
It's not even just that, but like, I, he doesn't always, it doesn't always hit. Sometimes it's just kind of awkward. He
Yeah.
can't act around it. The only other person I feel like he had better chemistry with is Brad Pitt. And again, no
Big names.
shade, no shade. I'm speaking truth here. Tell me Lestat and Louis weren't, you know?
I think
It
that's
is
the
it
text
is
of
what
the
it
film,
is.
right?
Anywho, so now he got his girl and they sleep together the first night. I was like, damn. Then he
Classic.
finds out that the way that he's bringing this girl in is not because she's a thief, it's because she and old boy used to be banging and they don't bang no more. And the other guy still want the cookie, so he's been after her this whole time. And so what they end up doing is sending the girl to the clanker so that he could go find her and save her because they didn't think it would make sense that she would just show up because she's been trying to dodge this fucking stalker forever.
Hmm.
And then the poor girl got to sleep with him. It's so nasty. I don't like that. And then Ethan, with his nerve, when he tells her what he has to have her do, he acts like he's more mad than she is. Bitch, I gotta open my legs for this fucking psychopath who just killed a bunch of people in an airplane. And I'm
But
just
how does
like,
that make the man feel? You know, that's
right.
the
He's like, I don't want you to do this either. I was like, whoa, Tom.
Yeah.
This is a lot. This is a lot. It was intense. So she goes to oh boy, but before she does, she get a shot in the ankle real quick. Not the COVID shot, even though I think this is the origin story to track her where she's going
Within 3 feet.
within
Yeah,
3 feet.
very specific.
And while all this is happening, of course, Ethan gotta get his boy to join in, which is Ving Rhames. And some Australian guy that's playing really heavy into like a stereotypical Australian accent, which is kind of crazy. Didn't care for it. Anywho, he a helicopter rider or driver. I don't know what you call them. Pilot.
I think
Yeah.
pilot, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe in Australia it's helicopter rider though. We don't know.
yeah.
They have to tame the helicopter.
What I
yeah.
love, like his entrance, I would say is on par with Owen Wilson in Armageddon. Like to show that he a real country boy, he comes riding in on a horse with the cowboy hat. This dude is flying a helicopter, and you see damn kangaroos jumping. Okay, he in Sydney, y'all.
We believe you.
So there's all this talking about blah blah blah, chimera, chimera, chimera. They trying to sell the drug, put it on the market. They need the antidote, and then it's Moody from Harry Potter
That's right.
who
Yep.
owns a drug company that's going to be selling the chimera virus remedy. I don't know. So they have to go find him, but there's a horse race or something that happens, and Thandy does some real cool trick of the hands with some
Yep.
paper, and
And she just flat out takes money out of his pocket.
which I love. I love that for her.
Good for her.
Also, oh boy got a friend, or I don't know who's the blonde, weird, creepy guy.
The guy
that-
from South Africa? He's the
Yeah.
fucking worst. I hate him.
He's the worst.
The guy that gets his finger chopped off by the
Yeah.
cigar cutter.
Okay, Doug Ray Scott, like we said, he is the lowest link in this movie because the acting was a little too over the top. Like, you're not playing villain well, friend. It was so crazy. Like, that scene in itself was also very sexual.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Did you guys feel that? I felt heat there.
There's
Um,
there's a visual implication of putting the finger in the thing. Yeah, we got it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very interesting. But John Woo, he was really at it because there was fire and birds fucking everywhere. I
Hell
don't
yeah.
know who had to clean up the bird poop on this
The
set.
birds were fucking, or they were just everywhere.
Every goddamn where. And there was fire in people's eyes, like
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
And my favorite scene is when Ethan takes his sunglasses off and throws it, and it blows up, and then the fire to the Mission Impossible
Yeah.
Oh, that
Sick
was
as hell.
good.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
rocks.
Oh,
I
but we
loved it.
missed where Andy injects herself.
Right. Okay, so
Yes.
what had happened
So now
was
she's dying.
they oh boy figures out that this girl is not for him because he got tons of Ethan Hunt mask lying around.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
But I'm sorry, baby, you are taller than Ethan. So make it make sense. Your girl couldn't tell the difference in the height, but okay, we're gonna fake it. Fine. So he catches her on the cliff. He's pretending to be Ethan, but he looks maniacal in the face like Tom Cruise was playing the hell out of this scene because
He's
I
got
was like,
angry anime eyebrows that are like on a crazy angle. It's wild.
and he wasn't trying to kiss her or nothing. He was like, nah, I want you to stay, blah,
She'll know
blah,
it's a
blah.
mask if they kiss. Oh my god. So dramatic.
So then Ethan has his own plan. He's going to go to Moody's pharmaceutical company and break in, not knowing that old girl going to show up because apparently there's just this window of time that Ving Rhames can't talk to him on the intercom. I don't know the rules, but this is what happens. And he almost like Ethan really took a chance. He like propelled from the damn helicopter and they had to wait till the vents open and oh boy couldn't get it open in time, but he's like, I'm still going. I was like, oh my god, Ethan, you ain't gonna make it. And then it opens right in time for him to fall through. He does some flippity flops and then he scoots down this and tries to like hide, and then he finds out old girl is in there because what's his face figured out that she ain't for him. And she ain't got no choice but to shoot it up, bang, bang. And then here comes Ethan, like, oh, baby girl, don't do it. And she's like, I got to live and I gotta save myself. And so she shoots herself with the virus. He leaves her because she knows she's gonna be protected because that old boy's not gonna kill her because she's all the money. And Ethan gotta run and fly and choke and do all sorts of things to get out of it. He got an extra mask of himself apparently, and he
Hell
puts
yeah.
it in the South African and he tapes up his lip. And man, when I tell you this guy is just deranged,
Yeah.
he shoots old boy in the knee so fast. And he's like, what did he say? There's he says, this is what's shooting crazy. Oh God,
Getting
what
your
did he
gun
say?
off.
Oh my God, what's wrong with you? So he's like, this is what I call getting your gun off. And he looks deranged. And turns out Ethan just like do 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 do, and he's stealing the Chimera virus
Antidote.
antidote. That's it. And he grabs it, and he get to running with his leather, and he
Yeah.
going upstairs. And they realize it's a mask. They're trying to get Ethan. The helicopter fly, 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 fly.
Because
then
they see the finger.
the
cut finger.
the nub is gone. And so then he's telling Ving Rhames, go get my girl. She's somewhere. She gonna try to kill herself because they saw on the GPS she had a cliff. Girl, don't do it. You don't have no faith in Ethan. Okay, so they go swing by, get the girl. She ain't looking good. Not at all. Ethan trying to get away from all these fools. There was a motorcycle chase somewhere and it was real long. Shit was
It was
long
really
as
long.
fuck. Like, okay, you could ride a motorcycle, Tom. I get it. It's just, it's a lot. It's a lot. Anywho, he fighting old boy, and when I tell you the tricks that he coming out with, like Doug Ray ain't even fighting. He just like, it's so ridiculous.
What if we just rolled around in the sand while waves
Right.
crashed? Wouldn't
Yes.
that be hot?
This fight scene was crazy because it wasn't fighting. It was just Tom's like, look what I can do. Look what I can do every 10 seconds. And he doesn't kill the boy. He's walking in slow motion to Ving Rhames to give the antidote to his girl because she looked busted. She is not well. And of course, crazy deranged gets up and he's like, ah, ha, ha, you should have killed me. Right there in the sand is a fucking gun. Where did it come
Hell
from?
yeah.
I don't recall.
They show it. It's crazy.
They show it falling. They do. They made emphasis that it's going to come back and play.
Yes.
So he chucks the antidote to Ving. He stomps down on the floor, has the gun ricochet up, catches it, turns, pop, pop. Well, he gets on the floor. He falls down.
Yeah.
And Doug Ray dead.
Yeah.
Big
It's fucking
dead.
awesome. It's so cool.
And then Ethan wraps things up, gets rid of the vaccine, the virus, all of it. He goes to checks out his boy Anthony's like, I'm done. It's over. It's a wrap. And he's like, well, what's gonna happen? You're going on vacation. He's like, I am. And he's like, well, you don't have to tell us then it's not vacation. I was like, you just ruined my last vacation. You were mad that you didn't know where I was. So what are we talking about? And then, Ethan's in some park or something and he's with his girl and they kissing and that's it. We ain't never see her again.
Classic.
How'd I
Good
do?
job. Good job.
That
Excellent
was
job.
yeah, that was fantastic. That was a really good summary of Mission Impossible 2.
At
Yeah.
points, it felt like, what's his face? He plays Stefan on Saturday Night Live. Where
Bill Hader. Yeah. This movie
Yeah.
has everything.
This movie it has motorcycles. It has antidotes. It has a girl on a cliff.
Yep. I think we nailed
Uh,
it.
Well
Yeah,
done.
you got it.
Yeah.
Thanks. I had a good time. Mainly because Jackie could attest that there's rarely a bitch could remember an entire plot of a movie.
I was like, this would be super entertaining if she could do this every single episode,
Yeah.
but there's no way.
That's the power of John Woo, I think. This movie
Yeah.
is so, in your face. Maximum.
Absolutely. And that is what I love the most about this movie. I think the last like half hour, especially of just like pure action, like the full unfiltered John Woo style action is so much fun. I think it kind of falls apart on like a storytelling level compared to some of the other ones, but the action in this movie is outstanding. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's a John Woo film. And you know what? I wonder what it would have been if he was able to actually finish the edit, but
Sure.
That's crazy.
I don't think it was bad. I don't know. Like, it just feels like everyone who did this movie feels like it's the worst one, and I would disagree.
Yeah, it's kind of like in terms of like the Mission Impossible fandom, it is like kind of generally considered the like among the weakest ones. Some there are shooters for it. I think everybody has like a different Mission Impossible ranking. There's no like general consensus other than like usually people will be like, well, Fallout's probably the best one, that sixth one.
Mhm.
But like 2 on most people's lists is like bottom of the list or like second to last in the list kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
it's usually close to the bottom.
I feel like we had, especially like around when Final Reckoning was coming out, obviously everybody was talking about their rankings and stuff, but I feel like there was a shift because I feel like a really long time the conventional wisdom was 2 is the worst one.
Yeah.
But I think we were in such a like dearth of interesting looking movies that when you go back and watch this movie, which is even, been considered a not very good John Woo movie, it's still a John Woo movie, and I think everyone really reappraised it on that level of like a we used to have movies kind of thing, and it shifted. I feel like 3 became the conventional wisdom worst one because I feel like the culture shifted on J.J. Abrams and everyone kind of hates him now. And 3's for a long time been my like Fallout is my favorite, but 3 is the one I really like stick up for because I think 3 rules.
Yeah, 3 rocks. On the rewatch, and 3 has Philip Seymour Hoffman as a villain who's unbelievably good in that movie. And I think 3 is a really interesting one just because it is probably the one that does the most with Ethan Hunt as a character, where it like gives him, a life outside of the IMF, and he's married in that movie and all that stuff. And so the stakes are very personal in that movie as compared to a lot of the other ones where sometimes there's personal stakes kind of weaved in and out here and there, and some of them but 3 kind of like sets up the template for what the series becomes in a weird way, where like it's always coming back to the fact that he was married in this movie, he's not in later movies, but like the shadow of his wife still looms large, and Michelle Monaghan comes back every once in a while and all that. But yeah, it's so yeah, both 2 and 3 have been like maligned in the fandom for many years, and both are good. Like that's the thing. It's a tough thing when ranking Mission Impossible movies because they are all awesome. They're all great.
They're all great. And this is interestingly, like we sort of referenced, I think, in the discussion about MI1, MI2 is the one film where he is not rogue. Ethan Hunt is on a IMF mission. Every other one, he is on rogue or is disavowed.
Yes,
Like,
he is not being hunted by his own agency in this
like
movie.
how does he still have a fucking job? Like at this point, my dude, quit.
I think by the time you get to like 5, the IMF kind of just becomes like Ethan Hunt and his friends. Like it's
Yeah.
because in 3 they have like an office building. They have like there's a whole network of people that work for the IMF. And the longer the movies go, especially by the time you get to like the last couple, it's like the IMF is like it's just Ethan Hunt and like whoever he decides to work with.
Yeah. Well, but also interestingly, which I never remember when I watch until I'm watching 2, Doug Ray Scott Ambrose is a rogue IMF agent himself.
Yes,
So like it
he was
still
Ethan's
factors
double.
in. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
he was like the guy who
Jeez.
like would double for Ethan Hunt on missions, which is why he has access to Tom Cruise masks.
Right.
Yeah, there was way too many masks in this. So I just found out that John Woo, his first cut of the movie, clocked in at 3.5 hours.
Hell yeah.
And it had many
And
more masks. That
and
was the
Paramount was
that's what they were
like,
cutting.
nah. So apparently this explains why there's so many plot holes and continuity errors in the
Hmm.
theatrical cut.
Mm.
Give us
Yeah.
the Woo cut.
Release the Woo cut.
I would love to see the 3.5 hour John Woo cut of this movie. I think that would be awesome. I do want to say, as far as the masks go, I am somebody who, like, anytime a mask reveal happens in a Mission Impossible movie, I turn into Lucille Bluth on Arrested Development, like screaming because Gene Parmesan is showing, showing up. I was like, ah, they got me again.
Every time. I
Yes.
think it's fun in this one that it develops the like voice changer tape
Mhm.
thing
Yeah.
that's not in the first one, and
Yeah.
then that becomes so important in the other movies. But I think that first appears in this one.
You know, it was fun. Like rewatching the first one, something I kind of like noticed this time that I hadn't really before is that in the first one, whenever there's a mask, when Tom Cruise is wearing a mask, it usually just actually is Tom Cruise wearing a mask, where it'll be
Yeah.
like
Right.
Tom Cruise like in face makeup, and then he'll pull it and all
You
that
got-
stuff.
You got Rob Bottin, you're gonna use him.
You're right. Yeah, you got Rob Bottin, a great makeup artist. And so in the first one, it actually is just Tom Cruise wearing a mask. And in like every other movie, they'll use, technology or whatever to be like the other actor is like in that scene and then the face gets pulled off and it's Tom Cruise. But
Right.
in the first one, there's like actual masks being used, which I kind of forgot about until watching it again, which is kind of cool.
Apparently, Tom rode the motorcycle through the fire without using flame protection gear or gel.
Hell yeah.
Badass.
What a champ.
That
That's one of the
sounds,
things.
that sounds like an incredibly reckless move for no real reason, but I'm glad he did it.
That's one of the things I remember watching in my obsessive watching of the DVD that I was renting from Blockbuster. Them talking about the knife stunt in the beach fight at the end, where, of course, Tom Cruise is insisting like, no, we're gonna do this for real, and so they had a real knife tied to a wire that like was measured specifically to stop like at his eyelashes, like that shot.
Oh, hell
And I
no.
don't remember if it's Doug Ray Scott or not, or stunt person doing the like diving on him, but they just were like, if this wire snaps, I'm gonna kill Tom Cruise. Like
Yeah.
I can't. And Tom Cruise like, do it, go for it. Like yeah, you go.
He's so
in a way
crazy.
This is how I want to
reminiscent
go.
to Emilio in the first movie.
Yeah.
Yes. Except
Exactly.
he didn't move.
Yeah.
Or fight it, which is crazy. But apparently Tom Cruise lied to the movie's insurance agent saying that he would be letting the stunt crew handle all the major action set pieces, while we know in reality he did about 95% of his own stunts.
It's wild.
And it's
Yeah.
crazy that it starts. It's like, when did that begin? Is it like Mission Impossible 4? No, it's Mission Impossible 2 on a beach
Yeah.
with John Woo. Like that, like that
Yeah.
drive. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
like the actual like doing his own stunts thing like became the big marketing push around the fourth one when he climbed the Burj Khalifa.
Right.
But it was happening here. Like it was already happening in Mission Impossible 2.
The script was rewritten multiple times during production, and it had to keep being adjusted because stunts and visuals were developed first. So basically, the movie was built around action set pieces, not the other way around.
That's
And,
No
and that
plot.
is that's pretty much how the Mission Impossibles have operated since. You hear about like with especially the ones that he's made with Christopher McQuarrie, where they have a script sort of, but like the movies take so long to make because they're focusing on they have like 3 or 4 big set pieces every movie, and they are focused basically on that, and then they kind of build a story around them, and it's very evolving. It's why Rebecca Ferguson gets written out in the 7th one, which is a terrible tragedy that me and Mike are still mad about. But a big part of it is that she has a much smaller role in Dead Reckoning than she does in her previous 2 movies, because she like asked to be written out of them, and the reason was like, yeah, these movies take like a year and a half to make, and in that time I could make like 4 or 5 other movies. I could
Yeah.
like she shot like 2 seasons of her Apple TV show Silo, like in the time it took between like Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning to come out. Like,
She's
it
got
was just
Dunes to be in, you know?
she's got Dunes to be in, and so the movies like take forever to make as a result of like this process, but the action set pieces are spectacular. They're pretty incredible. Like they're it's all there on the screen when you see it.
Yeah. But it's interesting that it kind of takes until like the last act for it to like really ramp up in terms of like
Yeah.
action scenes. Like there's the
Yeah.
shootout, the heist, and then from then on. But until before that, there's like, the car chase sex scene basically, which rules. But yeah, it's like there's not a ton of action in between those things that I can think of.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I liked it.
Maybe.
I don't know. Apparently, every other director in the franchise has been asked to return for a sequel, except John Woo.
No.
Really?
Oh,
even
man.
even Brian De Palma, despite their differences, I
I
guess.
guess so.
Yeah, it's wild.
I feel like John Woo's like Hollywood output has been rough.
It's a
You know?
weird. I
Yeah.
mean, he has, it's that for his first 3 movies, it's like Hard Target, Broken Arrow, Face Off, and then Face Off is like the pinnacle of anything anybody can do in an action movie. It rules. It's the best. It's so great. And then it's Mission
Well-
Impossible 2, and then it's I think Wind Talkers is after that, the Nicolas Cage World War II movie, which is not very good, and then it's Paycheck, Ben Affleck movie.
That's in there.
I think I remember liking that one. I'm not sure.
Okay,
I
I've not seen
feel
that
like
one.
I enjoyed Paycheck.
Yeah.
okay. It's 2003. It's ripe for a no more late fees reappraisal.
Yeah.
Let me look and see if it's even on the list. It is not.
That'll be our next episode. Mike.
There you go.
Well, Sir Anthony Hopkins was not credited for his role, so another cameo. Is that something that plays through the rest of them? Do they always have like a big actor cameo?
Not a cameo necessarily, but there's like a different director in every movie until 5, right? When Alec Baldwin kind of
Yeah. And so every director kind of brings in their own guys. So like Anthony Hopkins is in this one, who isn't really like one of John Woo's guys, but he just got him in
Well,
there.
I meant director of the IMF. It's a different director of the IMF every
yes.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So the third one, Lawrence Fishburne's the director of the IMF. In the fourth one, it's Tom Wilkinson, I think, right?
Yeah.
And that's really a cameo. He dies early on. The director of IMF is a very like, you don't want to be that guy. He died.
Yeah.
They die almost all the time. And then it's Alec Baldwin in 5, right? Or no,
Well, the end of 5. Yeah.
the end of 5, he becomes IMF director, and then he is the director in 6, and then he dies. And then in 7 Henry Czerny is back as the director of IMF.
Kittredge
so
is
that,
back,
Kittredge
yeah.
returns. But then also in 8, Angela Bassett's the president of the United States.
Ooh,
Uh,
love
and
As
so-
that.
she should be.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's in 6 also as like the director of the CIA, and then by 8 she has been elected president, and so she's kind of the one Ethan's answering to in that movie, which is
There's a
pretty cool.
wildly deep continuity in these movies.
Yes.
just like in
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I
Jackie-
would say it's less complex than Fast and Furious, just because the movies all take place in sequential order. You don't have to
Right,
watch like
yeah.
1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 3, 7.
Yeah.
One thing that I did notice and I didn't mention was that, and I just confirmed it, the car chase between Ethan and Naya was influenced by the car chase in GoldenEye.
Hell
Oh, I
yeah.
clocked
Where's-
that right away.
James Bond and what is it, Xenia
What?
on the top
Yes.
and I was like, this is familiar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does it happen
It's-
twice in that movie? Because doesn't he do it with Moneypenny also?
Yes, I think so.
I think you're right.
Well,
Yes, it's been a while. We did Tomorrow Never Dies on the Michelle Yeoh season of the podcast, and I remember we rewatched GoldenEye for that too. And yeah, I think it happens twice in that movie. Yeah, all 4 Brosnan Bonds are in your purview. Have you covered any of those yet?
Yeah, we
have
did
done
GoldenEye.
Nice.
And then our beloved Nick, who is just we just like to give him shit all the time. So as I'm watching this last night, I take a picture of my TV screen and I'm like, this James Bond is worse than GoldenEye. And then I sent the text before I sent the photo. So he's very earnestly like typing, like, which Bond are you watching now? He's so
Yeah.
excited. And then I send the photo and he just writes, I hate you. I'm like,
Because this is not the first time. So in our group chat, I forgot what you called the group chat too, but in our group,
James Bond superfans, I think
Yeah.
is the name of the group chat. I've
So-
never, up until GoldenEye, I had never seen a James Bond movie before.
Oh,
and
wow.
I've
Okay.
seen a few sprinkled here and there. So I was like, well, I've seen a lot of them, and I started sending pictures of Austin Powers, and he was like, I fucking can't with y'all. So we terrorize him on the show and off the show.
Nice.
So
Which also has a Tom Cruise connection because he's in Goldmember, right? Is
Yes,
that
Yeah.
yes,
yeah.
he
playing Austin
is.
Powers himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it, love it, love it. All right, let's get into some ratings, y'all. Well,
All right.
before we get into ratings, why don't you guys tell everybody where they can find your podcast and find you on social?
Sure, you could find the show, which is The Complete Works. You can find that on Blue Sky at Complete Works Pod. You can also find me on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at MD Film Blog.
That's right. You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at msmithfilmblog, Letterboxd at Mike Smith Film, Instagram at Radio Mike Sandwich, and the show can also be found on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and anywhere you get your podcast as well. Also, go to our Ko-fi page. Mike D, tell them about our Ko-fi page.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
While we're
If you
at
want to, sure, I guess. If you want to donate to support the show, it's on our Ko-fi page, ko-fi.com/Mike and Mike Pods. You can donate $50 and pick a topic. We'll pick a movie. Mike and Mike go to the movies as per you, whatever you
Yes.
want. We'll
Yes,
do it.
if you donate $50, you get to choose a topic for whatever we want to talk about. Recently, somebody made us watch Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie,
Which was great.
yeah,
No
Which
comment.
was great.
You broke up. You
Both
broke
were-
up. I didn't hear
Yeah,
you.
I can't
Yep.
quite understand what you said anymore. We talked about that one recently. We talked about Convoy from the 70s, which I had a lot of fun with. Pretty soon, we're going to be watching Punisher Warzone that somebody
wow.
paid $50 to make us watch because Roy Scheider is in The Punisher from 2004. And so somebody donated to make us watch the sequel to that also. So we're doing both of those. So that'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, go to our Ko-fi page and make a donation to the podcast. We appreciate it.
And if you guys have any comments or questions or debates, hit us up at No More Late Fees on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Threads, and Blue Sky. And I'm going to start with you, Mike D. Give me your present day rating of Mission Impossible 1.
Buy it, own it forever. Best, great movie. Love this movie for sure.
Mike S.
Same. Yeah, no, this is I had the conscious choice. Again, I wasn't able to rewatch both right before the podcast, but I did do a big rewatch a couple months ago. But I did decide to rewatch Mission Impossible 1 again last night because I was like, you know what? That fucking rocks. It's so good. It's
Oh,
so good.
Jesus. Jackie.
Same day for me, dog.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a same day for me too, dog.
I feel like this happens every time on your podcast. We come on and it's like, yeah, Spider-Man 2 is the best movie ever. And it's just...
I don't think I said it. I don't remember what my rating was, but
I can look.
I
Go to the
definitely roll the tape. I definitely do not want to see this movie ever again. If I do a Mission Impossible rewatch, which I think I would and I would enjoy, I'm just skipping that first one.
Okay.
Just not needed.
I mean, there are a lot of callbacks to the first one in the last two. So
I
just keeping that in
seen
mind.
it.
You've seen it. Yeah, you got
I
it.
remember. Don't need to see it again.
There's more callbacks to MI3 though, so you're good.
That's
Okay.
true. Mission Impossible 3 ends up being like the linchpin for the last movie, which is pretty wild.
All right. Well, maybe I'll do a whole watch. All right. Mission Impossible 2. You guys ready for your ratings? Mike D, let's start with you.
So Mission Impossible 2, I'm gonna keep a 5-day. The not the still pretty good. I mean, that's the thing. These are all perfect movies, but like in the context of 8 perfect movies, this is the less perfecter.
Gotcha. All right, Micahs.
I was going to say the same thing. I think a 5-day rental for Mission Impossible 2 is plenty of time to watch the movie and sit with it. And I do own it, so technically I would buy it, I guess. But but I more own it just like out of like a completionist's sake. Like I have
Right.
all the other ones. I gotta have Mission Impossible 2 also. So yeah, 5-day rental for me for number 2, and which is an improvement over again. I think when I was younger, I put it down as a 2-day rental. And for today, for my wizened older age, rewatching it again a few months ago, I had a lot more fun with it than I did back in the day.
Jackie.
This one was slightly more tolerable, mostly because of the chemistry between Tandy and Tom. So I will do 2-day.
Okay. Is young Danielle was very hype about this movie. I'm not gonna lie. She
Yeah.
had it. She
Let's
owned
go.
it. She watched it. I haven't watched it in a long time. My brain is fully developed now. So I'm gonna say 5-day rental because I probably could.
Knocked
Again,
it a little bit.
I won't rewatch it, but yeah.
We count that as a win.
Yeah, absolutely.
A win is a win.
Well,
Yeah.
if you have an opinion on the Mission Impossible movies or anything else we've discussed on the podcast, hit us up at our quick drop 909-601-6653. And you can also text us at that number and you could be featured on a future episode.
Who's ready to crash a few weddings and maybe a few funerals, eh? Next week, we're having a blast with Wedding Crashers.
That's going to be a fun one. That should be an interesting rewatch.
Yeah.
Very excited to rewatch that. And Mike, as much as we give you shit, it's always a pleasure to have you on.
It's always
we
great
don't
to
know
be on.
how why you keep saying yes to come back.
Please sign on for your favorite movies, and we hate them.
Okay, well, 3 movies we really like, and then Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
At
we're all
least
kind of on the
we
same page
had
with
common
Daredevil.
ground
Yeah.
with Daredevil.
Yes.
And as always, be kind and rewind.